All right, let's get into making this cute candy corn. This shape, it's kind of a teardrop shape, but I'm gonna say that it is a cone. We're gonna go for a cone shape, just not quite completely circular. So let's get into it. Let's look at the supplies that we need. I used Karen 1 pound and sunflower, faded brick, and white. I have 2 safety eyes, and I did use black yarn. You can use yarn or embroidery floss. For the smile, you can also get like a pink or red for the cheeks, and if you want to do eyelashes, embroidery floss for that as well. So what we'll also need is your scissors, your needle that can do yarn darning needle, a stitch marker, and I'm using a 4mm hook. The pattern I'm using says to do a 3.5mm, but the yarn, the Karen 1 pound, tends to be a little more full than some of the other worsted weight yarns, so I'm gonna go with the 4mm. So here is what we're going for. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we are going to start round 1, and we are not going to make a magic circle or even a traditional circle with a small chain, but we are still going to work in the rounds. It's just going to be slightly different. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to crochet over this top here, and then go around and then crochet this side as well. And that is how we will get our rounds. So we are going to go to the second chain from the hook, so we're not counting this chain. This is the first one and this is the second one. So we're going to do single crochet here, and then I'm going to do 7 more single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so now we should have 8 single crochets and then this one chain that has not been worked in yet. And what we're going to do with that last chain that hasn't been worked into is we are going to put 3 single crochets into that one chain. And what that basically will do is we will be putting 1 on this side, 1 on this side, and then 1 on that side. This is how we turn our corner. So 1, 2, and 3. I personally like to crochet over my tail as much as I possibly can. With amigurumi, you do get to hide your tail a little bit, so it's not quite as important, but I still like to do it. Okay, so I've done 3 single crochets into here, and so I'm going to do 7 on my way back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to drop this tail because it's getting in my way. 6 and 7. So basically what I have left is, well, I'm to the beginning, basically. There's one chain left here, and that is the first chain that I stitched in. This has one single crochet in it, but the last one on this end has 3. So we're going to put 2 into this last stitch, so it has 3 total. Okay, now we're going to slip stitch into this first single crochet, and that is how we finish with row 1. It kind of looks like a little bit of an oval, kind of looks like an amoeba or something. Okay, for the second round, we are going to put 2 single crochets into the first stitch. So right in here, we're going to go and start that with 2 in that first into that first stitch, and I am going to mark that very first single crochet of the round. I've already done 2 in there, so 1, 2. So I'm going to mark it because after this it will be kind of more difficult to tell which stitch we start with. So now I'm going to stitch 7 all the way across, 1 in each. 1, 2. If I can keep my yarn on my hook. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So now what we're going to do is we're going to increase into the next 3 stitches. So we are going to do 2 single crochets into each of the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, that's the first one. 1, 2, that's our second increase, and here is our third increase. And if you haven't guessed it, we are going to do 7 single crochet back towards the beginning. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I have to increase into the next 2 stitches. If you recall, I did an increase in this first stitch that we started with, so I just need to do it into the next 2 stitches here. So we're going to increase and increase. So it's 2 single crochets in each. And now I'm going to slip stitch into the very first stitch, and see, if you look, this is why it's confusing, because this area right here kind of looks like I could crochet into it, and you could, but your count might be off, and it might start to look just a little bit misshapen on one side. So I am going to slip stitch into here, and that is row 2. Okay, for row 3, oops, I am going to chain up 1, and I am going to single crochet. Sorry, it's hard to tell. 1, I'm going to go ahead and put this marker here. We're doing an increase in that first one, if I didn't say it. So 2 single crochets into the first stitch, and then we're going to do 10 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And if you haven't guessed, we are going to increase into the next 3 stitches. So 2 single crochets into each of the next 3. So there's 1 increase. It's our 2nd increase, and then this is our 3rd increase. And we are going to do 10 single crochets back towards the beginning. Okay, I've done 10 back, and now I need to do increases in the next 2 stitches here. So 1, 2, and oh, I'm sorry, that was 2 stitches. This is the 2nd increase though. I'm getting caught up on. So again, it's a little bit confusing here where the next stitch goes. That's why the stitch marker is really good when you're working in the round. So I'm going to slip stitch that together, and that is our round 3. All right, round 4. You know, we start with a chain here, and we are also going to start with an increase into the very first stitch. Okay. We are going to do 12 single crochets down to the other end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right, so we will need to increase this corner. We are going to do increases in 4 of the stitches instead of 3. We are going to do 4. So this is where our first increase will be, and then our 2nd increase. Our 3rd increase, and our 4th increase. All right, so we need to do, let me double check that, 1, 2, 3, yes. So I'm going to do 12 all the way back. Okay, at the end, and remember we're doing 4 increases on the edges, and we already have that first one, so I need to do 3 more here. So there's 1 increase, a 2nd increase, and our 3rd increase. I realized I forgot to put my stitch marker in here, but I am going to be very confident that that is my first stitch. So that is round 4. So the next 2 rounds are easy. Rows 5 and 6, we are just going to single crochet, 1 single crochet into every single stitch, no increases and no decreases. Okay, so I'm gonna chain 1, and then I am just gonna remember to put my stitch marker in this time, and we are just going to do 1 in each, And I will let you get to this, and I will meet you back around for row 5, the end of row 5, and the beginning of row 6. Okay, so I'm almost done with row 5 here. I am just going to do a slip stitch. And remember that row 6 is also the same as row 5. So once again, we're going to just single crochet once into each stitch. And again, I will meet you back around for the end of row 6. Okay, we are about here to the end. Once again, this looks weird, but I am going to slip stitch into that first stitch there. All right, we are at the end of row 6, and this is what it looks like so far. Okay, so now round 7, we are going to chain up 1, and we are going to do 8 single crochets. And so there's 1. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now the instructions say to do an invisible decrease. And this is where I really want to make sure that you understand how to do that. The purpose of a decrease is to take multiple, like for here, it's 2 stitches. We want that to become 1 stitch. So we are basically gonna stitch here and here to only make 1 stitch out of those. The way we are going to do that, we are going to use the very first loop here. So, or the front loop. We're going to utilize the front loop for this. And this is the way that we're going to do this will make it look where you can't see where the decreases are. A lot of decreasing, you can actually see where the decreases are sometimes. So this prevents that quite a bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our hook. We're going to go up underneath. So we're going to go down. We are going to try and get that hook just to grab this front loop. And then we are going to go around, down and around, get underneath that other front loop, and we're going to push up under that. So I'm going to do that again. So we're going to take these 2 stitches, make them 1 stitch, and we are going to utilize the front loops. We're going to go up under with our hook, and we're going to go out and around and back up again into that second one. So we're underneath the stitches here. We're going to yarn over and pull through both of those stitches till we have 2, and then we're going to complete that stitch. All right, so I'm going to do 8 single crochets and then walk you through that invisible stitch again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we're ready for the next invisible decrease. So remember, we're going to go underneath this stitch and we're going to go in between. Instead of going through this way, we're going to go up and just grab that front loop. We're going to go out, around, down, and then back back up into this other front loop. So we're in the front loops of both. We're going to yarn over, pull through a loop here, and then we're going to complete our stitch. So we made those 2 stitches 1. I am going to single crochet 8 times, and we will talk about this again. Okay, here we are again. We're going to do an invisible decrease. I'm going to go under those front loops. I got both of them on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop through both of those, and then complete my stitch. A single crochet 8 times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we're going to actually end this round with invisible decreases. We are going to decrease these 2 stitches here, make them 1. So up under that front loop, up under that front loop, you're going to pull that through and then complete the stitch. Now we are going to end that round by slip stitching into that first stitch of the round. Round 8's easy, or it should be. We're just going to do a single crochet into every stitch, so we're not decreasing or increasing here. And this is actually our last round for the yellow yarn. So in just a bit, we will get to learn how to change. So we are going to chain 1 and single crochet all the way around. And I will just meet you back at the end of this round. Okay, we're at the end of round 8. I am finishing up here. I am going to slip stitch into that first slip stitch to close the round. So we are going to need to change colors, and there's a couple ways to do this. The way that the initial pattern suggested, I believe, is just a little too complicated, especially since we're just starting a new round and it's not like in the middle of the row. So what I'm gonna have y'all do is I am going to have you do a chain. You're going to tighten that chain down. You are going to clip this yarn, pull that yarn through, and then tighten it just a little bit more. And that is how you're going to finish round 8. Look how cute it is. It looks like a little boat. All right. On round 9, we are going to add in the orange. So go ahead and get your orange out.